Haverhill.
Here's the latest WHAV news. I'm Wynn Damon. Students at the Constantino School in Haverhill were bused to other schools today after what was believed to be a citywide power surge caused by an outage at the middle school. Fire Chief William LaLiberty said the surge caused the school to lose a phase of a three-phase power system. As a result, he added that some electrical relays appear to have failed. He said there was no fire in the building. Haverhill School Superintendent Margaret Murata said 4th and 5th graders were sent to Silver Hill School, while older students were sent to Haverhill High School while repairs are made. A major Haverhill police drug raid Friday afternoon netted nearly 700 grams of the deadly drug fentanyl and a gun, and culminated in the arrest of a man and a woman, both in their 20s. Haverhill Police Narcotics Unit, working with the Federal Drug Enforcement Agency, raided a home at 116 Franklin Street around 1 o'clock Friday afternoon, using a search warrant to gain entrance to the residence. They recovered almost 664 grams of fentanyl and a Ruger revolver. 23-year-old Tatiana Contreras Lara and 26-year-old Ricardo Serrano, both listed as residents of the home, were each charged with possessing a firearm without a federal ID, improper storage of a weapon, having unlicensed ammunition, fentanyl trafficking, and conspiracy to violate drug laws. They were placed into custody by Haverhill Police Detective Tiffany Maldonado. Contreras Lara and Serrano are both expected to be arraigned today in Haverhill District Court. Haverhill residents spoke and Mayor James Fiorentini listened 2 months after a city council subcommittee urged Haverhill's top boss to form a committee to monitor and maintain safe hunting. Fiorentini plans to formally announce the 5-member panel charged with doing just that. At tomorrow night's Haverhill City Council meeting, Fiorentini intends to appoint city residents Colin Norton and Sharon Netzley of the Haverhill Hound Rod and Gun Club, along with Ronald LaPlume and Maria Zangari, to join Councillor Michael McGonigal on the Haverhill Hunting Committee. Atlanta Street's Zangari was among those to speak at January's meeting of the Public Safety Subcommittee, making local leaders aware of just how shotgun pellets from hunters have hit her home and landed in her backyard, posing a safety issue for her family and pets. Haverhill has 2 brand-new recruits headed to fight fires in the city, Evan Kelleher and Robert Miles, who graduated from the state's Firefighting Academy on Friday. The men are among 36 firefighters from 23 departments going to work across the state after completing the 50-day program. Kelleher and Miles join Haverhill's other rookie firefighters, Christian Dion and Gregory Ryan, who completed training last fall. And a Good Samaritan thwarted a reported Methuen carjacking Friday night after observing a woman under attack in a grocery store parking lot and chasing away the alleged culprit. Methuen police shortly thereafter caught up with 53-year-old Rafael Rosario of Lawrence, charging him with strangulation, attempted kidnapping, attempted carjacking, and assault and battery, according to Methuen Police Chief Joseph Solomon. The incident unfolded just before 8 o'clock Friday night when Rosario allegedly forced his way into a parked car near Market Basket at 186 Haverhill Street. The unidentified woman said that she was in her car with the door closed when the man forced his way in, grabbed her by the throat, and pushed her further into the car. According to Chief Solomon's statement, the victim started screaming for help and beeping the car horn to get someone's attention. He added that an as-yet unidentified man pulled his pickup truck into the parking space across from the victim and rushed over to help. Rosario then reportedly ran across the parking lot towards Hobson Street, and the rescuer asked the woman to call 911 and briefly chased Rosario. Methuen police officers searched the area and found Rosario lying in the snow along a fence in the back corner of a property. He was arrested without incident. In WHAV sports, the Celtics wrap up their West Coast road trip tonight, taking on the LA Clippers. The Bruins are off tonight. They'll be in Columbus tomorrow night to play the Blue Jackets. And the Red Sox have the day off from exhibition play. The New England Revolution, after losing Monday, to play the Montreal Impact. In the high school girls hockey tournament tonight, Methuen-Tewksbury is in the state semifinals, taking on Longmeadow at the O'Brien Arena in Woburn. Face-off is going to be at 7:30. And in girls basketball, Division I, tomorrow night, Central Catholic is in the state semifinals, and they'll be meeting Braintree at 5:30 at the Garden in Boston. And then on Wednesday night in Division II girls basketball, Pentucket is going to be meeting Pembroke, also in the state semifinals, and that will also be at 5:30 at the Garden in Boston. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. And there's always more at WHAV.net. That's where you can sign up for the free newsletter. From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Win Damon.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Harry Horton. Flight data recorders have been recovered from the wreckage of an Ethiopian Airlines plane that crashed on Sunday, killing all 157 people on board. President Trump is requesting an additional $8.6 billion to fund his controversial border wall in his proposed 2020 budget. And Algerian President Abdelaziz Bouteflika has postponed upcoming elections and says he'll no longer seek a fifth term.
WAVE weather.
Now your WAVE weather forecast for Haverhill in the Merrimack Valley. Temperatures dip to 29 degrees tonight with winds right around 8 to 14 miles per hour. We'll see clear skies to start and increase those clouds before shortly after decreasing them during Tuesday morning. Will become sunny for the afternoon with highs in the lower 40s. Winds right around 10 to 15 miles per hour from the northwest. Tuesday night, clear, low around 22. And Wednesday, high pressure in control, meaning full sunshine, high 46. I'm WHAV meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next WAVE weather in 30 minutes.
Why pay $250 to $350 a year for half as much news? On air and online. 97.9 WHAV provides more Greater Haverhill news more often than any other sources combined. Support the only Haverhill-based news source with your tax-deductible local news membership by clicking on the membership tab at WHAV.net. Broadcasting on the Armstrong FM system, this is 97.9 WHAV.
Catch the wave. WHAV. Merrimack Valley. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And good evening. We are on the Open Mic Show right here on WHAV 97.9 FM. I'm Bill Macek, and Ralph Basiliere is here, my co-host, and also Rich Rosa from the school committee is here. Hi, Rich. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Hi, welcome, Rich.
Let me just move this a little closer to you.
Sure.
We want to make sure everybody hears you.
I'm well. How are you both?
I'm great.
Very good.
Great.
Very good. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Good seeing you both.
And you're going to scoot out to Possible Dreams, right?
Yes.
So probably about 10 you're going to want to leave us?
Sure. That'd be
so
great.
if that's
Thank
okay.
you.
So we're going to hold off all of our normal things about we talk about Albie D's second generation Italian bakery and all the details and the giveaway contest and all that, because we want to get in as much information as we can discussing things with you, because you are such an important man on the school committee.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's lots of important people on the school
Well, I
committee.
didn't say you were the only one. I said you are an important man on the school committee.
And each one of them, depending on who you ask, is more or less important.
They're all important, absolutely. So a lot of things happening in the school department. In the new superintendent, I think she's looking to shake it up a little bit. She got people thinking now.
She's working hard and really taking a look at everything, whether it's the budget, whether it's each individual school, looking at curriculum and really trying to improve things everywhere she can.
I think that's great. I kind of like, at least on the surface, I like what she's thinking about with using St. James School for more. I think it's 4, 5, and 6. She's thinking there, they're calling it middle school, but
4, 5, and 6.
Middle
that's
school
correct.
traditionally
Yeah,
has other
grades.
Right. But I think, and then utilizing some other space for other things, and I think that will also getting smaller class sizes out of it.
Well, that's the goal. The goal is to have smaller class sizes, and right now St. James is a building that holds about 350 students.
Or can hold about.
Can hold about 350 students. We have about 80 in there, so it looks like it makes a lot of sense to take a look at that school,
Right.
to use it as a way to reduce class sizes.
Right. So
'Cause we've got classrooms.
So it's underutilized, and we're paying the rent.
We sure are.
Right.
Yeah, we might as well use the rooms if we can.
now you did a new RFP because I think was the current contract for St. James running out
It's
anyway?
gonna run out. Yes.
At the end of this
At the
school
end of
year.
this
Yeah.
Yeah, so that RFP, my understanding is that it states in it that the use
The new intent.
the new intent of the
Yeah.
school, so it's not a secret.
Good. And they've
there
already
you go.
replied and they got a number for you.
What's that?
They have already the Archdiocese of
They
Boston
have responded,
has
that's my
responded.
understanding,
Yeah.
and I think over the next couple of weeks, it'll be negotiated.
Okay.
And, I think we're going to be looking to, hopefully have some things done to the school in terms of
Do some upgrades.
of some upgrades,
Sure.
some
Right.
improvements, as part of the new lease.
Great. Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. so
When could
that-
we potentially see students there?
Next,
what would a rough
next-
time frame?
Next school
September.
year.
September.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the goal if the school committee ultimately approves
Get it
this
worked
plan.
out. Yeah.
Is start that in September, and then there'd be some shifting around. There's two programs there. They're both special education programs, the HALT program and the TEACH program, and they would be moved to other locations. We're not closing any schools, by the way. I know that there was some talk about school closings. That is not
Right.
We do not have space to close.
Right.
any schools.
I didn't hear anything about school closings. That would have
No, I haven't heard that.
rang my alarm.
The last time I heard about a school closing was way back, many years, when we were going to build Hunking, and Superintendent Scully said we'll probably close Greenleaf. But then what happened over the 4 years it took to build the school is the population of the student population increased, so you needed the classroom space, and he used some of it at Greenleaf.
Yeah, I can't see us being in the business of selling any of our school buildings in the next
Not right
number
away.
of years.
Not until we build some new ones or totally renovate. I mean, every time I go in Hunking, I say one down, probably three to go. To
Right.
give the full city that kind of an educational benefit for their children. So that they're not just in a 100-year-old building that's not leaking, but it's just a 100-year-old building. But some of the there's a difference. There's a difference between a new school and our classic schools.
I'd have to agree. Go ahead, Rich.
I was to say the Hunking School is certainly a beautiful school,
Oh,
and
it is.
and hopefully we'll have a beautiful school where Constantino is very soon, in the next few years. I mean, whether or not it's going to be a renovation and an addition or a new school, we'll have to wait till see what the mass buildings.
Well, I think we can use the old walls and
I think so, too, and
we
I think that's the hope,
If we
is
do a
that we can
real,
make an expansion of
almost
that.
like call it a gut job, that you really
Yeah.
do a renovation, not just bring in the painters.
Yeah, ultimately, I think it's up to the building authority to tell us how that's going
Right.
to play out. But
Right.
I agree with you. I think that school has good bones, and I think renovating it and expanding it. I mean, part of that statement of interest was to add 6 classrooms.
Yeah.
And we certainly need that as part of that plan.
Let me remind our listeners, though, that we do take phone calls during our interviews if they're on topic. So if you would like to call in if you have a comment or a question regarding the schools, if you'd like to talk to School Committeeman Rich Rosa, just give us a call at 978-374-1900. And believe it or not, we are at the point that, according to our log, we have to take a short break. So we're going to do that. We'll be right back with more on the Open Mic Show on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
Stay informed each day with local news, coupled with FSN's worldwide coverage. 97.9 WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. There's always more at WHAV.net.
Catch the wave.
On air or online, 97.9 WHAV serves you. Twice an hour weekdays keep up to date with exclusive local news and weather. Find out about civic events on Community Spotlight every quarter hour. And better prepare with WAVE weather every 30 minutes. Mass Moments, Melinda's Garden Moment, Soundbeat, and Insight Daily complete the spectrum. Hear classic comedy and drama 7 nights a week at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. Finally, a unique blend of rock and roll hits from the 60s, 70s, and 80s round out the entertainment. Stay with 97.9 WHAV, the only Haverhill-based news source.
Community Spotlight.
Elder Services of the Merrimack Valley is in need of drivers to distribute Meals on Wheels to homebound elders in the Haverhill area. Distribution takes place weekdays, and more information is available by calling Virginia 978-651-3020. Submit your own nonprofit events and announcements at least 3 weeks in advance. For best results, use the online form under the Contact tab at WHAV.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, I'm Eric Scott.
Catch the wave. WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back on the Open Mic Show. It's 6:19. It is a Monday night. We're here every Monday night from 6 until 8 p.m., usually talking stuff about Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley. And right now, we have School Committeeman Rich Rosa as our guest, but my co-host, Ralph Basiliere, brought up that he had a discussion with you when you were running for office, and I'll just hand it over to Ralph.
Well, at the River Ruckus, we ran into each other when you were running for office, and I remember the broad strokes of the conversation. You were talking about your experience in the real estate market and how it correlates to the schools and what changes you wanted to make. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, I don't remember every detail of what you said, although it sounded like you knew what you were talking about at the time. We were having a fun time out there. Why don't you tell us about that?
Sure. Well, as for people who don't know, I'm an attorney, but I own a real estate company, and my business is primarily real estate. And I see a correlation between schools and where people want to move, and I come across that when I meet with clients all the time. Many times people come to Haverhill because it's affordable. When they're single or engaged, they're just married, and then they're here for a while. They have children, and by the time their children are ready to start school, they're looking to move somewhere else. It's a common theme, unfortunately, and it was a theme that prompted me to think about running for school committee. I think we're doing some things and we're going in the right direction. We've got a lot to do, but that's a real factor for people.
It seems to me that if we were to kick the can down, then kind of what you're saying is that the long-term economic health and stability of the community kind of involves the equity of people retaining their homes, right? And if they're not doing that because of the school system, it seems to me, if you come back around on it, that in a way you're one of those people who feel that strong schools are the best thing for a long-term local economy. And certainly in the housing market.
To put it another way, there's a reason why it's affordable, and it might be because of the schools.
Gotcha.
And I think that I think as no one wants the community to not be affordable.
Right.
And there's ways to make sure that there's diversity in housing so that everyone has an opportunity. But at the same time, really a foundation of any city or town is their schools, is good schools. It makes people want to move here. It makes people want to stay here. And of course, there'll always be people that grow up somewhere, whether it's Haverhill or anywhere else, that want to stay in the community they grew up in. But if you want to, I always hear people talk about attracting, young professionals and the people that are in high tech and engineering.
But we want them around for 40 years, not 4.
Exactly, and
maybe become multi-generational.
Right. Well,
right. Exactly. So that's, I mean, if we want to attract that, those people, we want to attract everyone, but to attract those people as well, we need to have good schools, and I think that's important.
So I don't know
for kids too.
By the way, right? It's very important for the kids. So I don't know, but it seems that one of you two gentlemen, or both of you, might be able to answer this. I hear an awful lot lately, and I'm surprised to be hearing this in the last 6 or 10 months. I'm hearing people who were really happy with the growth of Haverhill, with the expansion. They thought it was good. Now citing problems with school buildings and class sizes as a reason to develop either less or slow it down, put a moratorium on it. One person said to me, and I'm not sure that I agree with any of these because I don't understand that I know it, but how do you figure with where we're at in the school system with further growth in housing?
Well, I think here's the issue. We're pretty filled at the schools, right? And until this hunking project comes online, and that maybe adds, at a minimum, hopefully it will add about 150 seats or so. We don't have a lot of room, so I think that's where the concern lies.
Okay.
We already have in some schools some crowded classrooms,
right,
at the middle school level, and if we're adding more kids to the schools, I think that's where the concern lies. I don't think anyone is against growth.
Yeah.
I mean, I think growth is good for a community.
Right,
we just don't have room for kids.
Right.
At this point, until we get more.
So
more
you guys are solution focused. Where's our solution here? Where's
the solution is to continue to provide more classrooms, because Haverhill is a big community. We're the largest in the Merrimack Valley with 36 square miles, and people have a right to develop their property.
Absolutely.
And what the rule is on moratoriums, and I know this to be fact. A lot of people think, well, they don't think about it or they don't know about it.
Right.
But you have to, the minute you impose, say, a building moratorium, the city will immediately have to, by state law, immediately start to, whatever the deficiency was, to make efforts, and I'm talking not just thinking about it, I'm talking or meeting on it, but actually start a plan to build more classrooms. Because you cannot decide to deprive people of their right to build on their property because you ran
unless you're solving the problem.
Right. So then you have to solve what's the deficiency? Yeah. The deficiency is classrooms. So the city would then have to immediately start moving to build more classrooms or create them wherever whatever they could do it.
Now, I don't remember too much about this because I had, but when I got to Haverhill 23 years ago or so, I don't know if you were on the city council at that point, but wasn't there
there was a
limit
slowdown?
Right. Wasn't there a limit on how many building permits would be issued?
Right, there was. And that was I was not on the council at that time, but I recall it. I recall what happened, and they got away with it. Of course, in order for somebody to make trouble, or be unhappy with, I can't use my land, they have to then, maybe discuss it with the city or maybe even file an action that you're in violation. You can't tell me I can't use my land, therefore, probably file an action against the city to buy the land for the value because you've deprived them of the use of their land. We don't want to see that happen.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that's what I'm hearing.
What we need to do is continue to do what we're doing now. Yeah. I mean, I spoke to your colleague, Attorney Paul Magliocchetti, who's on the school committee with you, and we were talking about what's needed for both J.G. Whittier and what's needed for Constantino. And I think, he has some ideas that he'd like to bring forward. And, you may hear those Thursday night. But I'm not going to talk about it right now because I think it's him who's going to, fabricate it and bring it forward. But I think he has some great ideas to make sure that we have the best schools possible. I think that's the bottom line. And we do. I agree with you 100%. People definitely want to live where their kids can get the best education, that they can get.
So some people say the other side of the, we're developing too much, don't develop, they've used the M word, is that what we need is on the outskirts of Haverhill, many, hundreds and hundreds of $700,000 houses developed to establish a certain tax break I've heard people say that.
If you want to build a house in the outskirts for $700K,
Hey.
I'd love to see you do it, Ralph. No, but
I
we
don't. I have
we
no
just
need.
don't have-
My children are out of school.
I'm not sure that
Yeah.
we have the developers, waiting in line to come into Haverhill because, we
Well,
would
that's the
have
problem
those-
I've heard with that argument, too.
We
Yeah.
need to, between the new master plan committee, I think, will be
Right.
looking at these kind of things, and I also think that zoning. In particular, our zoning, which I was on the committee that met for probably 4 years plus, and we just haven't met in about a year and a half, for what reason I don't know. But we need to update our zoning, and
I
some
would-
of that
I would
could
agree
be
with that, yeah.
could be facilitated, to help us get those.
But it's just
homes.
funny that I'm throwing out there.
But then a lot of people say, "Oh, we have some." I think it's
Yeah.
great. We have farms, we have lakes, we have golf courses.
Right.
We don't want to be like Lawrence,
No.
6 square miles, and there's no place like that,
Right.
and there's no castle, and all you can do is
Right.
knock it down and build it higher.
And to your point about, lakes and golf courses and open space, that is what makes Haverhill very appealing to people.
is.
Because, if you're a young professional and you've been living in Somerville or Medford and you're kind of, a little leery about moving out to the suburbs, Haverhill's kind of the best of both worlds. We've got a pretty nice
It is.
downtown with a lot
Right.
of restaurants, but you could be 3 miles out and it's pretty suburban,
Yeah.
even
We have
rural
some
in some
areas you
places.
think
Yeah.
you're in Maine or Vermont.
Yeah, you have
know,
Winnie
and-
Kinney right off the heart of
Right,
downtown.
right, and we got 5 exits off the highway, so you got great access almost from any
Right.
part of the city.
And what would be a really game changer, I think, in terms of transportation, is if we could just get that commuter rail twice an hour instead of once an hour.
We said that with Representative Linda Dean Campbell. It was last week. It was the
Yeah.
4th. Yeah, it was just last week, and she's in agreement. That she's not in favor of the increase in fares, and we talked about more ability to get on that train and ride it to and from.
I'm not in favor of Keolis, for the record.
They're done. They've already said they're not renewing.
Good.
I'm not sure who's next.
Good. Music to my ears.
Well, I'll tell you. So I've had clients buy in downtown Haverhill condos.
Yeah.
And they all say pretty much the same thing about the train. It's wonderful going into Boston because you're the first stop. You always get a seat.
Yeah.
It's a nice ride in. The problem is coming home. The train comes back about once an hour or so.
Right.
So if you have to work 5 minutes late and you miss that train by 5 minutes,
Yeah.
you're cooling your jets at North Station
Yep.
for 55 minutes.
You're
That's
you're
not
right.
fun.
That's happened to me. That has happened to me in the past with VA appointments. A lousy 3-minute delay, and you're another
Right.
hour.
So
in
if
your
we had
ears.
a more frequent schedule,
Yeah.
and maybe even go into some of the times that they're not even serving right now. Yeah. So I think
might
that
work.
would help. We talk about public transportation as being part of the future, and so that's public transportation.
Yeah.
And stop the who I don't even want to drive into Boston anymore. It's gotten so bad just over the last year or two.
It really has.
It's just a traffic. We were rated the worst
Right.
traffic in the country.
I had experience
Congratulations, Boston.
last summer where 16 days in a row I had to go visit a family member at Brigham and Women's.
Yeah.
And it was 40 minutes to the Leverett Connector, a total of 3 hours to the hospital.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I mean,
just
it's
insane
just-
in the same way coming out.
It's gridlock.
Yeah,
It's-
2 hours to get to 93.
Yet you see all the cranes, and they're building it
Oh,
higher.
yeah.
They're-
Oh,
so
yeah.
it only means you're going to have more people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
either working or living in Boston. And
So,
anyway.
looking into the future, Rich,
you know what? Can we?
Oh, we got a break.
Do a break, and,
Do a
and we'll
break.
come back and we'll talk about the future.
The future has a break in it.
With our guest,
I'll go grab my crystal ball.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah, mine's always cloudy. School Committeeman Rich Rosa and the two of us right here on the Open Mic Show on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
It's 6:31.
For more in-depth coverage of the news, visit WHAV's website at whav.net.
Paul Ryan, Haverhill High School class of 1971, and Tommy Morgan, Haverhill High School class of 2013, are good sports. They're on 97.9 WHAV FM every Wednesday night from 6 till 8. Ryan and Morgan talk about local high school sports, the Patriots, Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics, and more. You can join in with your calls. Good Sports is sponsored in part by Haverhill attorney Gerard Laflamme. Good Sports every Wednesday night at 6 on the WHAV 97.9 WHAV FM.
Wave weather.
Now your wave weather forecast for Haverhill, the Merrimack Valley. Temperatures dip to 29 degrees tonight with winds right around 8 to 14 miles per hour. We'll see clear skies to start and then increase those clouds before shortly after decreasing them during Tuesday morning. Will become sunny for the afternoon with highs in the lower 40s. Winds right around 10 to 15 miles per hour from the northwest. Tuesday night clear, low around 22. And Wednesday, high pressure in control, meaning full sunshine, high 46. I'm WHAV meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back on the Open Mic Show. Bill Macek, Ralph Basiliere, and our guest for this, most of the hour at least, Rich Rosa from the school committee and also from Buyer Brokers, right?
Buyers Brokers Only, yeah.
Yeah, Buyer Brokers Only. And he's an attorney. So you're like me. You got a hat rack beside your desk, right?
Busy man.
Yeah.
Busy man.
Ralph, you were going to ask Rich a question.
Yeah, we're going to ask, looking into the future, what are some of the solutions and some of the positive things you see coming down the pike for the school department?
So I think that, one is I think we really need to focus on our facilities over the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, it's not a short-term solution. We can't do everything at once. There's just not enough money to do it.
Right.
But I think we need to have a plan where we're systematically, improving our buildings. I mean, one of those things is, this year, one of the things that I talked a lot about was the accelerated repair program. The state hands out money, pays 60 to 70% to repair certain things, roofs, windows, and boilers. We hadn't applied for that money for 8 years.
I know. I remember you brought that up. Congratulations on thinking of finding that, whatever you did.
And so
we want that money.
Yeah, we sure do. I mean, just to give you an example, a place like Worcester, they've had 15 schools approved for repairs to that program in about the last 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
So we should be looking at that program every year to see what could we do, what could we qualify for. I mean, sure, you have to have the money to pay for your share, but I mean to turn away, if you could, fix schools for 35 cents on the dollar, why would you be doing that?
And reasonably, under a program, if you model it similar to Worcester, if we were doing 2 or 3 schools a year, major rehab in that program, pretty soon you're there.
In a decade, you've got schools with all new roofs, new windows, and new boilers.
Right.
And you get there. I mean, for example, I know that one of the schools, Silver Hill, is not one of the ones that ultimately we submitted the statement of interest on. But that's a school that I think is getting pretty close to 30 years old.
Yes.
And so that would be the perfect opportunity because you could apply for roofs and boilers after 20 years minimum, but not windows until 30. But when that school reaches 30, that would be a perfect opportunity to do the roof, the boiler, and the windows. Now you've got a school with those 3 major components.
Right.
I think Silver Hill and Constantino were almost built at the same time. Okay. And then Pentucket Lake and Bradford Elementary were built.
Well, no. I think Silver Hill was with those others.
Golden Hills.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it Silver and Golden
all
the
right.
same?
But from what I understand, that might have been the first one, and that's why it's almost 30 years old.
Okay.
Wow.
But, I mean, time flies. I mean,
yeah, sure does.
It really does.
Yeah.
As you said, Rich, and I agree with you totally that, some of the things people that reside in Haverhill want is, one, quality education. They also want they want public safety. They need good police and fire, and they want to feel safe. And we're working on that. And the other one is, I think, just the overall quality of life, which, as you said, we give them. We give them golf courses. We give them lakes. We give them places to swim. There's so many good things. Team Haverhill's doing Possible Dreams tonight. Who knows what they'll come up with at that? And I know that's where you're running to. But, Team Haverhill is a great asset for the community. And, they've come up with River Ruckus. It's an annual event that
I love the River
everybody
Ruckus.
loves. I know.
Love the River Ruckus.
For one reason or another.
Whoever's idea that was, if you're listening, thank you. I love the River Ruckus.
And all those things that you mentioned sort of tie in too. For example, if kids are getting a good education and we're making sure that they're reading by the end of third grade, their likelihood of dropping out of high school goes down dramatically. If they don't drop out of high school, their likelihood of being arrested and going to jail and committing crimes.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, we don't want to.
Well, that's the reality.
Yeah, we don't want to do the school to prison pipeline.
Right. Those are the realities. So
Yeah.
if we've got good schools and we're providing a good education, that helps public safety and other things.
So we talked about some of the problems that we see in the news, and we've talked about some of the solutions. What are some of the strengths right now of the Haverhill district as you see it? And since you've come in, if there's been any strengths that you can know improvements we've made?
Well, some great things are going on at the high school. For anyone who didn't, I believe it was there was one meeting in December. It was the December meeting. Anyone who didn't catch the December meeting, it's worth going online and checking out the presentation we got from the high school principal and some of the other leadership at the high school. They're doing a lot of great things over at the high school.
They are.
Good.
And that's a great thing. I think we're trying to find our way with special education. That was a real problem several years ago. I mean, out of district placements skyrocketed. The cost skyrocketed.
Superintendent Murata comes here with a very stellar record in special needs and special ed.
Yes.
So I think she's a good fit.
Yeah, she certainly is,
Yeah.
and we needed somebody in that
Yeah.
area.
A fresh
So
set
that's
of
an area
eyes.
that's an area that still needs a lot of work, but we're on the right path now. I think.
You're never done, no matter what you're doing.
No.
You know that. So all you're saying is we got to keep working at it.
Yeah,
That's-
and
right.
stay,
and I'm sure
stay focused and,
yeah.
and stay in the
Now,
right direction.
That's
my
what's gonna
understanding, two of the schools saw dramatic increases in their scores. Wasn't it Tilton and in the high school?
Tilton in the high school.
Tilton
yeah.
in the high school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Tilton received a turnaround grant a couple of years back. It
Right.
was $900,000. I think it was approximately $900,000 over 2 years, and they put in. They put in some of the pieces that a lot of us have been talking about that we need sort of district wide. They have reading coaches and math coaches, and those things have made a difference. They went from like the first or second percentile to like the 21st.
But with all due respect to all the principals that have been there, because I know they've all done their best to accomplish whatever can be accomplished. In a traditional way, probably, but then there was somebody put in who probably stirred it up a little bit. And the new principal, I think, is, so I'm told, is very responsible for those increased scores.
Absolutely. She applied for that grant, she received that grant, and she put that money to good use.
Right.
And now the challenge for the school committee, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, is that grant's done, and we've got to figure out how to support her.
You got to hold your ground.
Hold the ground
Right,
there.
right. We don't want to backstep. Well, you're down to 5 minutes. You want to talk a little bit about your other things you do in life? Like buyers, brokers.
Sure, buyers, brokers only is my company. Me and a business partner, Dave Kress, started it about 13 and a half years ago now, and it's a little unique. It's not a typical real estate company. We only represent buyers.
Yeah.
We never list property for sale.
Wow.
So we never have the conflict of representing both the buyer and the seller in the same transaction.
Yeah.
And we only hire attorneys to work for us. So all of our real estate brokers are attorneys.
You got an application with you?
Yeah,
No.
absolutely.
You need one, Bill?
I'm always doing something.
We've got
Yeah,
22,
you're always busy.
22
Actually,
lawyers
I've
working with us now.
I've actually got my mass broker's license.
You know what I just noticed? It's a kind of fun fact. We both wore purple and had no idea that was going to happen. It looks probably looks like we called each other.
The memo didn't come from you?
No, no. I wore my purple salamander shirt because I'm an environmentalist.
So anyway, so people that want to purchase
yeah.
can rely on you as looking out for just their needs and
Just the
not getting
buyers.
caught in that
Dual agency
conflict
or
of dual agency right.
designated buyer agency.
Yeah.
And we have 22 lawyers that work with us now.
And you're
Wow.
you're a member of the multiple listing services and
sure.
all that.
Oh,
Yeah, so
absolutely.
you do
We're-
everything
we're-
that
everything
that a
regular
normal
real estate
regular
company
agent would do.
but we just only represent
you only
buyers,
represent
and we only
buyers.
have only use lawyers to work with us, and the real estate market's been good, as you guys probably know. I mean, 2011, 2012 was the bottom, and it's been straight up since then.
good.
In fact, I was just looking for a client. Haverhill's up about 29% since 2012.
Well, and that's
Wow.
the problem. What people are complaining about their real estate bills is not really because of the classification hearing or the factor we picked, because no matter which factor got picked that was being presented that evening, it was really small dollars increase for the property owners. It was the fact that we had a large increase, and it was a reval year, and everybody went up so that the value of their property was higher
Right.
by, probably thousands, if not tens of thousands. And then when you apply the tax rate, it looks like they had a tax increase, when
Right.
really it was a property value increase.
Yeah. So single-family homes up about 29% since 2012. The median price for a single-family now in Haverhill's, as of the end of 2018, was $338.
Yeah.
I believe it was below $3 at the bottom.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
or quite a bit below $3 actually. I
And
think.
the
I think it
listings
went
that
from
are coming
261
on,
to 338.
the listings that are coming on, I see the single families. They're more like I'd say 350 and up to the
Most of
to the
them.
low fours.
Most of them, yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's not really a bad thing,
No,
because it means that the people that are invested are, their property is appreciating. You don't want it to depreciate.
No, we don't want that. We don't want
but
what happened
we don't want to come
10 years ago. That's for
unaffordable
sure.
either. So
Right.
it's a balancing act to try and make
Well,
it all
somewhere
happen.
we're going to level out here, aren't we, in the market?
I think
Well,
so.
the interest rates will do that.
Right. Right.
As the interest rates go higher, it will keep the prices from creeping
Right.
or at least running fast.
Although they went up in the fall,
They're down.
but they dropped down again.
Yeah.
They're actually
Right.
back down to about 4.5.
They are. Yeah.
They got just over 5 in say November.
So, we're out of time, Rich. We're going to have to bring you back to talk about your law practice and anything else you do. Tune up cars or brakes?
No, don't know anything. There's a reason I went to law school. It's because I don't know. I can't tell the difference between the Phillips and
All right.
the other one.
Okay.
That's all right.
Good enough. Well, we really appreciate you coming in tonight, and all you're doing for the city on the school committee, and
Thank you.
all you do, I'm sure, taking good care of your customers at Buyer Brokers Only, and also your law practice, right? So you're a busy guy, which is good. I like being busy. Busy's better than slow, right?
Absolutely.
Sure is.
Absolutely.
Sure is.
Well, boy, Bill, got a little bubble there.
Well, we got to go into
We're
the
going
break.
to take a break.
We'll take a break, and we'll be back right
Thank
after
you,
this
and I'll-
on 97.9 WHAV.
Open mic.
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
97.9 WHAV.
Catch the wave.
On air or online, 97.9 WHAV serves you. Twice an hour weekdays, keep up to date with exclusive local news and weather. Find out about civic events on Community Spotlight every quarter hour. And better prepare with WAVE weather every 30 minutes. Mass Moments, Melinda's Garden Moment, Soundbeat, and Insight Daily complete the spectrum. Hear classic comedy and drama 7 nights a week at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. Finally, a unique blend of rock and roll hits from the 60s, 70s, and 80s round out the entertainment. Stay with 97.9 WHAV, the only Haverhill-based news source.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Okay, we're back on the Open Mic Show, and I want to thank Rich Rosa for coming in. Very interesting guy, huh?
Yeah, he's
hardworking,
smart guy.
Smart guy.
Got a lot going on.
Good to have him on the school committee.
Yeah.
It's 6:47 right now, and we're going to take it to the top of the hour. And right after the top of the hour, I want to let everybody know that we are going to have a person who I have known for many years. He's supposed to call in. He's from New York. And we're going to be talking about 60s music and 60s radio because he has he lived it, grew up in it, knew a lot of the people in it, and it should be a lot of fun talking about those golden days.
The decade you and I were born, Bill.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, right. So anyway,
1966 I was born.
We play some of the well, it's a little bit from the 60s, mostly 70s, 80s.
I know a few.
60s, 70s, and 80s. We play a lot of 60s.
I know that on the day that I was born, the Beatles, August 5th, 66, released the Revolver album. I happen to know that.
There you go.
And I think the number one song in the nation at the time was Wild Thing.
I didn't print that out as to what but there's a lot of information. Just go online, search around. I printed out the top 100 songs from the 60s, and we'll get into all that.
We'll start singing them later.
When we're talking to Teddy. Yeah, we can because we can't play music. You know that?
You know, on the day...
You know why we can't play music?
Because Facebook will shut us off.
Because Facebook will shut the show down. Because we are on HC Media, which is local cable, Comcast at Channel 22. We're also on Facebook on the
YouTube.
WHAV page. We get on YouTube. We're also on WHAV.net if you want to listen live.
I'll tell you.
We're on some of the surrounding communities in Merrimack Valley,
That's right,
Groveland, Methuen, and we're out there. And
I can't tell you how disturbing this is for a guy with a face for radio.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
I have the same feeling, Ralph. Don't worry. It's like
you feel my pain.
I've been heard that many times in my career in radio.
Yeah, I didn't think I was the first.
Got a great face for radio. Yeah. All right, let me mention about our giveaway because we don't want to miss that. We have our monthly cake giveaway for a person with a birthday in the upcoming month, and that would be in the month of April already. So if you call in this month of March, on the last Monday of March, we will then draw a name from our big 10-gallon cowboy hat, and we will pick somebody out to get a free cake from LBD's second-generation Italian bakery located right in Bradford Square on South Main Street in Bradford, and it's good stuff. And they have a great bakery. If you can go in, you can find anything you want that you could find in any other bakery. They'll make special cakes. They'll make special pies. Just go in and see them. LBD's second-generation Italian bakery, Bradford Square, Bradford, Mass.
No, we draw it out of the cowboy hat, which was that not worn by what's his name? Burt Reynolds and
Burt Reynolds. I think that was
Smokey and the Bandit.
Smokey and the Bandit. I think it was that hat. Yeah,
I've heard that.
Yeah, some people.
I don't know that it's true, but I've heard it.
Some people have said that it was John Wayne, and I don't think so because I think it's a little small for John. But
people are telling me
that looks like the hat that Burt wore.
Burt Reynolds, right? Who's now we've lost him, right?
We lost him. Yeah. Just lost him. Yeah. I used to like watching him.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, he was a good actor. And so was our president.
Huh. Well,
he's a good actor. Anyway.
Reagan, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Reagan was an actor.
Yeah. So what was his most famous movie? He had a monkey, a chimp or something, didn't he?
No. No.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Clint Eastwood with the orangutan.
No. Reagan had I can't think of the name.
Oh, Reagan. That's right. Yeah.
He had a monkey in his.
He did a lot of war movies.
If somebody has an answer to that, give us a call 978-374-1900. Yeah, he did a lot of war movies, but he never really flew a plane. But he did like 200 training films.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He did a lot of training.
Different day
films.
back then.
It was, sure was. So I also want to mention that this is March membership month here at 97.9 WHAV FM, and you can help keep local news on the air for a small monthly amount. It all helps out. And you can then be assured that you're going to hear about things such as education, crime, taxes, and a whole lot more. And it'll all be heard right here on WHAV with our ultra-sensitive microphones. You can become a member today. It's easy. Just visit WHAV.net and click on the photograph of Tom Bergeron, and members will receive a Tom Bergeron membership card and a bumper sticker. Now, I'm a member. I didn't get any of that stuff. You know, I mean, it's just the way I get, because I'm an employee here. I you know, a volunteer,
nice?
actually.
Yeah.
And I this is what I get.
This is how we're treated.
This is how we're treated.
Yeah.
You know, what can I say? But no, Tim Coco is a great guy. I really have a lot of respect for what he has accomplished.
Hey, he's done well
in
here.
Getting this on the air and what he's offering now.
We make it look
the
easy,
community. Yeah,
but it's really not.
It's not. It's not. It's certainly not what Tim has accomplished.
No.
It's a LPFM license, and so that means he has to be a registered nonprofit, and so it creates more hoops and hurdles to go through. And
yeah.
you know, he does a great job. So it's a reason why I hope people listening and people talk it up, get more people listening and more people as members, because even though it's free to the listener, it's not free to run this operation.
That's right. The Haverhill-based news source.
That's right. It's 6:53 on the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek and Ralph Basiliere, and we have a call. So let's go to our caller. Hello, caller.
Bedtime for Bonzo.
Hey, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Was it good times for Bonzo or
Bonzo.
big times for Bonzo? I don't know. But Bonzo was
I thought it was bedtime for Bonzo.
bedtime for Bonzo.
That's what it is. Yep.
Yeah, I remember. That's
I've
right.
never seen the movie, but
No,
but I remember.
nor have I. But I
Reagan.
think I've seen clips from it. So
It might be on demand.
I can kind of picture they were showing pictures of the president with his monkey.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, Bonzo.
well, I think of
that was
him
it.
on Death Valley Days,
That's true. Yeah, yeah.
sponsored by Borax.
Wow, you're going way back now. You remember all that stuff, huh? Well, you'll be good next hour. Make sure you call in, because we've got a 60s hour for radio and music. So you may be able. Now, you always you're a regular caller. We love having your call. Have you called in your birthday for this month?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not
Okay.
yet.
All right.
Well, see, the reason for that is I like to be able to contact the people if they do indeed win. Now,
Because you want a slice.
well, yeah,
You want a slice of that cake.
that doesn't happen very
Doesn't
often.
happen very often. Yeah. Okay.
I try to think of these different birthdays in April, or anniversaries in April too, and for example, Andy. I know an Andy who's got a birthday on April 5th,
Yeah.
and Andy lives in Haverhill. I
Okay.
have to double check the address. And Cheryl, who does not live in Haverhill anymore, lives in Methuen. And I don't know if she were a winner, if she would come to Haverhill to pick up that.
Well, people
couldn't-
from Haverhill go to Methuen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean to pick up the cake?
Yeah.
All right. Well, just
Well, I know that Jerry from Methuen comes to Haverhill, and he
Jerry's
loves
in
those
Haverhill a
fig
lot.
squares.
yes. Yeah.
He loves those fig squares.
Yeah.
And that's what he'd rather win, I know. And
Well-
wait a minute, isn't his birthday in April?
I think it's coming up. I'm not sure if it's April or not. Well,
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think
next
it might
time he
be,
calls in, I'll ask him, and because you could call your own birthday, and we don't have
yeah.
strict rules. You know, it
Jerry,
could be
if you're listening.
a friend, a relative. It does, or yourself, right, Ralph?
That's right.
There you go.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we're good guys. We're just here to have fun on Monday night.
Give away a cake.
This is it. Give away cake every once in a while, and have some laughs, and get some good information out to the public.
Right. I almost said out of the hat worn by Tex Whitman. I'm glad I remembered who
Well, I
Tex
never
Whitman.
knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's not his hat.
No, I don't think so. No.
Tex-
Oh, it
Tex
probably
Whitman
fits
was a
me,
bad
'cause I
guy.
got a fat head, so.
Well, we can't give it up anyway. We need to keep using it.
That's right.
That's right. So, what else is going on?
Oh, nothing much.
Nothing? All right. Well, I appreciate you calling in and reminding me the name Bonzo for the chimp
Bedtime for Bonzo.
that Reagan did one of his most popular movies with.
Yeah.
I served under Ronald Reagan.
Were you in the service?
53 movies Ronald Reagan was in.
53 movies. Wow. None of them were giant blockbusters, though.
No. Nor was his presidency, if you ask me, but I liked him enough. I think he was a good American and a good man.
Yeah.
Well, I think he was a good American and a good man.
I think those things, too.
And well, the thing is, though, I mean, we had some differences with Reagan over certain things.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
You know, that's going to happen no matter what.
Know what I liked about Reagan?
What?
And it hurts me to say this, but when the Marine barracks got blown up, it was his decision to put the Marines there against everyone's advice.
Oh, really?
He took full responsibility for it. You wouldn't see that today.
Good for him.
He took full responsibility for it.
Yeah.
And we always respected him for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of very kind feelings having
Where was
served
that
under him
barracks?
because of that. In Beirut.
Yeah.
In Beirut.
Yeah.
People, some
the day
of our
that
guys
blew-
must have gotten killed then.
Oh yeah, several hundred Marines.
Wow.
And the day that happened, I was a senior in Whittier Tech. That's when I joined the Marines.
That was Lebanon.
Oh, yeah.
Did we ever,
Lebanon, right.
Did we ever admit to being there? Because
Oh,
I remember for the longest
we've been
time.
in Lebanon so much.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
unreal.
But we
going
didn't-
going
but-
to Lebanon like the
but-
Marines.
but it was all
it's like going
unofficial.
right, it's like going to a bus stop.
Yeah, it was
You know,
unofficial.
you get off the helicopter, you get back on the helicopter.
Yeah, right. Oh,
Well, I'll
those.
go to Lebanon, New Hampshire instead.
Ooh, there's an idea.
That's not a bad idea.
No.
Go to the Alfred Hitchcock Hospital there.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
When I go to New Hampshire, I'm thinking like I want to do things like hiking and skiing.
And me, I think
still got
in
time.
terms of
Yeah.
relaxing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still got time to go skiing.
Yeah, I got a little gem up in the Jackson. I met a guy I did business with one time to Hotel Tonight, and then he bought a bigger place in Jackson. And myself and Whitney have been doing business with him for 6 years exclusively.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Jackson's a good area too.
Yeah, I love Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually go to church up there too.
You do.
Oh, sure. Why not?
Every week?
Well, I go to Jackson. I go to church 3 times a year when I'm in Jackson.
Okay.
And yeah, they even wrote a song about it, right?
Sure. 3 times in Jackson.
Must have been a country song.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Hey, we
Okay,
are
gentlemen.
we're running out of time anyway this hour, so we're going to let you go. But thanks for calling in. Thanks for that information.
Okay.
And next hour, be listening, and you can call in again. We do not have a one call per night
Okay.
rule. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, I'll do that.
As long as it's good stuff you're calling about.
That's right. Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. All right, we're coming up on the 7 o'clock hour. It's 6:59 and a half, and then some.
How time flies.
It does fly, and we're going to be back right after the 7 o'clock top of the hour information on WHAV's Open Mic Show. Bill Macek and Ralph Basiliere, we're going to be with you next hour here in studio, but I expect somewhere around 7:10, we're going to hear from an old friend of mine, and we'll get into that. We're going to hopefully, if he's available to call, 978-374-1900 will be the number for you to also call in. We're going to have a fun hour talking about 60s music and 60s radio right here on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic!
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
It's 7 o'clock.
WHAV LP Haverhill.
Here's the latest WHAV news. I'm Wynn Damon. Students at the Constantino School in Haverhill were bused to other schools after what was believed to be a citywide power surge caused an outage at the middle school. Fire Chief William LaLiberty said the surge caused the school to lose a phase of the three-phase power system. As a result, he added some electrical relays appear to have failed. He said there was no fire in the building. Haverhill School Superintendent Margaret Murata said 4th and 5th graders were sent to Silver Hill School, while older students were sent to Haverhill High School while repairs are made. Superintendent told WHAV that all is safe and orderly. A major Haverhill police drug raid Friday afternoon netted nearly 700 grams of the deadly drug fentanyl and a gun, and culminated in the arrest of a man and a woman, both in their 20s. Haverhill Police Narcotics Unit, working with the Federal Drug Enforcement Agency, raided a home at 116 Franklin Street around 1 o'clock Friday afternoon, using a search warrant to gain entrance to the residence. They recovered almost 664 grams of fentanyl and a Ruger revolver. 23-year-old Tatiana Contreras Lara and 26-year-old Ricardo Serrano, both listed as residents of the home, were each charged with possessing a firearm without a federal ID, improper storage of a weapon, having unlicensed ammunition, fentanyl trafficking, and conspiracy to violate drug laws. They were placed into custody by Haverhill Police Detective Tiffany Maldonado. Contreras Lara and Serrano are both expected to be arraigned today in Haverhill District Court. Haverhill residents spoke and Mayor James Fiorentini listened 2 months after a city council subcommittee urged Haverhill's top boss to form a committee to monitor and maintain safe hunting. Fiorentini plans to formally announce the 5-member panel charged with doing just that. At tomorrow night's Haverhill City Council meeting, Fiorentini intends to appoint city residents Colin Norton and Sharon Netzley of the Haverhill Hound Rod and Gun Club, along with Ronald LaPlume and Maria Zangari, to join Councillor Michael McGonigal on the Haverhill Hunting Committee. Atlanta Street's Zangari was among those to speak at January's meeting of the Public Safety Subcommittee, making local leaders aware of just how shotgun pellets from hunters have hit her home and landed in her backyard, posing a safety issue for her family and pets. Haverhill has 2 brand-new recruits headed to fight fires in the city, Evan Kelleher and Robert Miles, who graduated from the state's Firefighting Academy on Friday. The men are among 36 firefighters from 23 departments going to work across the state after completing the 50-day program. Kelleher and Miles join Haverhill's other rookie firefighters, Christian Dion and Gregory Ryan, who completed training last fall. And a Good Samaritan thwarted a reported Methuen carjacking Friday night after observing a woman under attack in a grocery store parking lot and chasing away the alleged culprit. Methuen police shortly thereafter caught up with 53-year-old Rafael Rosario of Lawrence, charging him with strangulation, attempted kidnapping, attempted carjacking, and assault and battery, according to Methuen Police Chief Joseph Solomon. The incident unfolded just before 8 o'clock Friday night when Rosario allegedly forced his way into a parked car near Market Basket at 186 Haverhill Street. The unidentified woman said that she was in her car with the door closed while the man forced his way in, grabbed her by the throat, and pushed her further into the car. According to Chief Solomon's statement, the victim started screaming for help and beeping the car horn to get someone's attention. He added that an as-yet unidentified man pulled his pickup truck into the parking space across from the victim and rushed over to help. Rosario then reportedly ran across the parking lot towards Hobson Street, and the rescuer asked the woman to call 911 and briefly chased Rosario. Methuen police officers searched the area and found Rosario lying in the snow along a fence in the back corner of a property. He was arrested without incident. In WHAV sports, the Celtics wrap up their West Coast road trip tonight, taking on the LA Clippers. The Bruins are off tonight. They'll be in Columbus tomorrow night to play the Blue Jackets. And the Red Sox have the day off from exhibition play. The New England Revolution, after losing over the weekend 2-0 to the Columbus Crew, are now preparing to go on the road on Sunday to play the Montreal Impact. In the high school girls hockey tournament tonight, Methuen-Tewksbury is in the state semifinals, taking on Longmeadow at the O'Brien Arena in Woburn. Face-off is going to be at 7:30. And in girls basketball, Division I, tomorrow night, Central Catholic is in the state semifinals, and they'll be meeting Braintree at 5:30 at the Garden in Boston. And then on Wednesday night, in Division II girls basketball, Pentucket is going to be meeting Pembroke, also in the state semifinals, and that will also be at 5:30 at the Garden in Boston. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source, and there's always more at WHAV.net. That's where you can sign up for the free newsletter. From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Win Damon.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Harry Horton. Flight data recorders have been recovered from the wreckage of an Ethiopian Airlines plane that crashed on Sunday, killing all 157 people on board. President Trump is requesting an additional $8.6 billion to fund his controversial border wall in his proposed 2020 budget. And Algerian President Abdelaziz Bouteflika has postponed upcoming elections and says he'll no longer seek a fifth term.
Wave weather.
Now your wave weather forecast for Haverhill in the Merrimack Valley. Temperatures dipped to 29 degrees tonight with winds right around 8 to 14 miles per hour. We'll see clear skies to start and then increase those clouds before shortly after decreasing them during Tuesday morning. Will become sunny for the afternoon with highs in the lower 40s. Winds right around 10 to 15 miles per hour from the northwest. Tuesday night, clear, low around 22. And Wednesday, high pressure in control, meaning full sunshine, high 46. I'm WHAV meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
Those Boston stations don't always understand weather in the Merrimack Valley. Stay informed with wave weather every 30 minutes, 24 hours a day on Soft Gold WHAV. 97.9 FM WHAV.
Catch the wave, WHAV, Merrimack Valley. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back for the second hour. Doesn't time just fly?
Time flies.
Radio time does fly. We're having a good time here at the Open Mic Show every Monday night, 6 to 8 on WHAV. We are doing the Open Mic, Bill Macek and Ralph Basiliere. And this hour we have a special telephone guest that's supposed to call in a couple of minutes. He's a guy that grew up during the New York days of radio in the 60s.
Wow, that must have been like the heyday.
Yeah, and also a lot of the music that was going on, he got involved in some of the live, knowing some of the live bands and some of that stuff.
I wonder if he met Led Zeppelin.
I don't know. I don't think that was in the 60s, though.
Led Zeppelin was the 60s.
It was the 60s? It
late 60s, early 70s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
Maybe he met the Beatles. I told you the day I was born, they released the Revolver album,
You
right?
did. You said that, yeah. But you know what? Let everybody know all the other things that you've looked up about the day you were born.
Well, for a speech that I have coming up, I looked up the first week in August 1966, and I happened to have been born in that week. On August 5th, 1966, the Beatles released the Revolve album.
Yeah.
To show you how things were going in our country. Martin Luther King was stoned that day in Chicago. They threw stones at him.
Wow.
The Soviets tested a bomb.
That day.
Yeah, that day. It was a Friday, and I was born, which I pretty much happy about. Well, I'm happy to still be here.
Yeah, at least it wasn't close to your hospital where you were born.
Oh, God, no. God, no.
Yeah,
it was a busy week.
Interesting day. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the whole week, August 1st.
Do you have a copy of Revolver?
I don't.
You don't?
I don't know.
Right. Well, maybe somebody, what was the birth date?
August 5th. There's
August 5th.
Yeah,
there's something for people to write down.
I need a CD for my car. Yeah, for the Lincoln.
Or, friends or relatives or just good listeners that
there you go
that like what you do. Maybe
the Revolver album.
You get a copy of Revolver.
Yeah. They released another album that day too in England, but I don't know what it was.
Isn't it amazing? The amount of material that came out, and I'm still somewhat of a cynic about Lennon and McCartney, whether they could have possibly written all of the different styles and all those songs so quickly in like a 3 to 5 year era. It's incredible. Hundreds of, and they just keep turning. But I think they did have George Martin in the studio, and without his production, maybe it wouldn't have been quite. Yeah, maybe it wouldn't have been quite as awesome. But they really were an awesome band.
I saw Paul McCartney.
I did too. Yeah.
Well, my God, I think it was probably. I think it was probably around 2005.
Yeah, he's a good performer.
Yeah, he put on a great show.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, it was. He had a brand new band, and the drummer was from Newton. It was a great concert. I saw it at the Garden.
Well, I just got thumbs up that we have our guest Teddy Smith on the line.
Beautiful.
We're going to take a short break, so we won't be bothered with a break until around past, and we'll be right back on the Open Mic Show. And we'll be getting into 60s and 70s radio talk and kind of reminiscing about all those days so many years ago, right here and only on the Open Mic Show on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic.
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
If you want to know what's going on at WHAV, sign up for the free monthly Wavelengths newsletter online at WHAV.net.
Catch the wave.
When the Haverhill School Committee meets, 97.9 WHAV FM is there live from Haverhill City Hall. Class sizes, special education, teacher hiring, and spending are among the topics covered Thursday nights at 7 when the school committee is in session. Presented as a public service from 97.9 WHAV FM.
Community Spotlight.
Graduating seniors in the Haverhill area are eligible to apply for the Greater Haverhill Art Association's Robert Kablowski Memorial Scholarship, awarded to a student pursuing a career in the arts who lives in the school districts of Haverhill, Methuen, North Andover, Masconomet, Pentucket, and Timberlane. Deadline for applications is April 15th, with the award of at least $750 presented to the chosen senior at a student art exhibit at Buttonwoods in May. Applications and submission guidelines are online at haverhillartassociation.org. Submit your own nonprofit events and announcements at least 3 weeks in advance. For best results, use the online form under the Contact tab at WHAV.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, I'm Eric Scott.
Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we are back on the Open Mic Show. Bill Macek and Ralph Basiliere, and let's welcome our telephone guest for this hour, Teddy Smith.
Bill Macek, Open Mic. I like the name of the concept of the radio show. And as people may not know, you were my general manager, so I always saw you at the other side of the desk on the sales and management end of the radio, but knew that you've always been on the radio and have a wonderful voice and a wonderful presence at the same time.
And you too, Teddy.
Also, thank you, and also as a musician as well.
That's right. I do have that in my background. But, yes, we did work together for, a reasonable period of time, and you were always an interesting guy because of your New York roots and what you knew, people you knew, and also what you knew about that era of both radio and music.
Well, the thing is that what people don't know probably is I have a cousin that runs several radio television stations in Florida, in the Midwest, and I was actually...
Teddy, you're fading in and out. Could you maybe keep your phone a little closer to your mouth or something?
Yeah, how's that? Is that better?
Oh, much better, much better. I want the people to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, actually, I had a cousin, the first cousin, who owned radio and television stations in Minnesota and Florida, and he was kind of a gung-ho type of guy. He believed in being in all aspects of the business back in the 60s, and speaking of 60s and 70s, it was like it was yesterday, like only 40, 50 or more years ago, but we realized that how popular him and you made all of these type of formats, like the show we had at the old WEIM, the Classic Drive at 5, and all the, the great hits that people listen to and constantly call in for requests on a regular basis.
That's
so
right.
I think it's
even
quite alive, as people may think that the market shares have dropped and people have gotten rid of wanting to say the word oldies on a radio station. May that be true or not? The point is that people want to hear the 50s music, man. They want to jam to 50s music. Look at the movie Green Book, the one an Academy Award. Look at Bobby Rydell. Look at the people that have been on in that movie, the music that came out of that movie, 50s and early 60s music. So it's more popular now than it ever has been. What do you think?
Well, I mean, you think about what they have on Sirius XM. They have a Beatles channel 24/7. It's been on now for a couple of years, and all it plays is Beatles music. And, of course, most of that's from the 60s. I guess as I think the baby boomers get older, which I'm in that category. Ralph, you're a little younger.
I'm not a baby boomer.
You're not What was your category? What did they call it?
I think I'm Generation X.
Generation X.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good. I like that.
I believe that's exactly who I am.
But the Wolfman Jack.
I think we all listen to, and even today, look, WHAV is doing 60s, 70s, and 80s with some flavoring from the 50s. But, people love to hear the music you grew up with in a lot of ways. So
they want to kind of like be in tune to their past.
But Teddy, you were involved in New York radio, or at least rubbing elbows with some of the giants from that era.
It made some of those people like Dan Ingram and Cousin Brucey, and
right? WABC,
Harry Harrison and Ron Lundy, and all of those people stand out as radio icons or pioneers, or as you call them, giants, of the fact that they lasted, more than 20 or 30 or 40 years in one market, which very obviously not too many people last in those big markets like they once did, because they have something called a computer in your telephone, or an iPhone, or a phone or computer, so we can just voice track everything from Austin, Texas, and dump it in New York or Boston or San Jose. So the point is that we've lost the content of that live jock being on the radio and hearing that great jingle that Bill Macek has, Open Mic.
Yeah,
like something, it's exciting. You want to hear something that's not dull on the radio. And this radio station right here, The River, is doing wonderful things between the music that's the cross-section of the wonderful music that you're playing over there, as well as all of the news that you're doing, is just fabulous.
Well, thank you for saying that. Now, one of the things here at WHAV, Teddy, is that the owner, Tim Coco, he's a radio guru in a lot of ways, and he loves what he started in many years ago as a journalist, as a news reporter for the original WHAV, was at 1490 AM. And he always, kind of worked and dreamt about creating a new WHAV because we lost our station. It got sold and moved to Lawrence. So, and they turned the format to Hispanic. I remember when it happened, and it was traumatic to a lot of people back then that were dedicated listeners. And now we finally have it back. And not only is Tim doing great on-air stuff, he's also he's got to be the leader in news. We're the only local news source, and the newspaper. When you look at the circulation and you look at the hits that Tim gets on our web news,
millions.
It just there's no comparison. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he's also keeping a lot of the old formats, but he's also staying with the curve into the 21st century.
Yeah, you have to be the social media,
the social media, the online stuff. Yeah. Teddy, tell us about a few of the groups that you happen to know or run into back in New York.
Well, so we've had people on the show, some people like the Monkees, like we've had Davy Jones on the radio show, the late Peter Tork, who just passed. We've had Gary Puckett from the Union Gap. We've had Johnny Rivers on the show. We've had Bob Gaudio from the Four Seasons. We've had Grand Funk Railroad on the station.
Grand Funk Railroad.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Teddy, you're talking about when you say on the show, you're still doing a radio show weekly, right?
Yeah, I still have the radio shows, still playing music, still playing some jingles. And what makes this whole thing fun is that we do it live, we do it local, but then again, people do call in from Australia. They call in from all over the world because of the fact that we have our iPhone or our smartphone that's smart nearby, and that people can actually appreciate listening to whatever they want to hear. And what's fun about this whole thing now with the internet is, as you know, that people can listen from anywhere.
You're really worldwide.
Any place,
worldwide.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like right here.
Yeah. So if I can get my producer, Chris, are you listening? He is.
Hey, Chris.
All right, we're gonna let's play some of the. I'd like to let you hear some of the old WHAV jingles that Tim put together when I told him I was going to have you as a guest this evening.
Terrific.
Play some of the jingles from the historic vault.
bringing music and you in WHAV.
All right, Teddy, what do you think of those?
I love those jingles. Those really are some of the jingles that I'll use on my shows, and that actually is a real production. And the 60s and 70s radio that people may not know about is that they use jam jingles from Dallas, Texas, and I have hundreds of those type of jingles from all different radio stations on one of the
they're collector's items.
And
really,
the fact is that
for radio
the way they did
heads,
radio back in those days was like real tight, really production.
Right.
And as you know, really, music bouncing off the back of the walls, and like the real live disc jockey. They can actually
to cue the records, make sure that they were tight. That was a knack. And then you got into hitting cart machines so that you were always in anticipation there, like a split second. You got to hit it just a hair early so that it's tight.
Remember, the old radio station, you used to have carts upstairs.
Yeah, we had loads of carts. I know the old cartridges. I remember we moved from records to cartridges, and then one day it moved to DVDs, and then it moved from DVDs to just everything being loaded digitally, which is.
But you even had people like that were on WEIM, people that came out of there, legends like, of course, Ray C. from that town, but also people like Russ Oasis, who was on stations, major market stations. I think was he in Boston and also in Miami too.
Yeah. We a lot of. It's funny, even through WHAV, his first job in radio, he was from Haverhill. You may know Tom Bergeron from Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, sure.
Tom was from Haverhill, and he started his radio career at WHAV.
No kidding.
Yeah. So
amazing.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the music of today, Teddy?
I like a lot of the music of today. I mean, I like the alternative rock. I like the classic rock, the mixture, the pace of the music. There's so much to be said about the flip side of songs, and that people can play on whether it's AM or FM radio. There's no end to a lot of the new style, the new genre of music today. It just gets better all the time, and so many people have so many great lyrics and so many great ideas that I've even had some of these new artists that are not even known, that don't even have a hit, that have been on the shows, that have played live on my shows, to get their music out there, because a lot of people need to have a place to go to where they can actually have people hear their songs,
right,
and be able to get their expression out there, where, as we know, corporate radio won't do that, obviously.
Well, and that's exactly where it all changed. In my mind, it was when the Telecommunications Act of 1996 was passed by Congress, and the main leader of that, believe it or not, is our current Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey. He was then just a congressman, but he took the lead on the content of that Telecommunications Act, and new communications well. But what he did do is the one main rule that he changed that I think affected radio negatively is that back before the act was passed in '96, it was you could only own 20 radio stations nationwide, and they just removed that cap.
Wow.
In the new act.
It'll
And
change
that's
everything.
what created corporate radio. And that's why we now have companies that own hundreds of radio stations.
But it's great that the River is an independently owned radio station. There are far few of those left.
Well, we have the River, which is now licensed to Andover, but still has their studios in Haverhill. That and many other independents, such as myself. For the years that I owned radio, I was an independent. But corporate radio changed it all and made it tougher, because then radio was all about bottom line and not about quality music and production.
Here I hear on the River station, I hear quality music. I don't hear the same songs like I hear on the corporate stations that you probably hear, the same rotation,
right?
The same music that you hear over and over again. Here you hear a lot of variety, nice, great music.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, there's a difference too, and that's why you develop listenership when you have something unique. And not only does WHAV have great music from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, but it also has the best information that can be found in this whole Merrimack Valley on the radio.
12 million hits a month.
Yeah, because of the news that we produce, the information, and when we do news extras, once, twice, whatever it requires, whenever something breaks, as soon as we get it and we are sure that we're reporting quality information, it gets done. So those are the things that lack. I mean, I remember hearing about a corporate radio station, and I'm going back probably at least 3 to 5 years ago. They had nationwide, they had like 35 stations that they had the same format on every afternoon. So what did they do? You know what they did. Let me just mention it for the listeners. They decided that they would keep one of the announcers, and they fired 34 people. So that it becomes
nice guys.
It becomes just general. You can't talk about the community you're in or the area you're in or anything local, because you're just going to talk about maybe the artist, the weather. That even that has got to be done for each regional station. So you got to break for it. It's just a different game.
With travel years ago in the 60s and 70s, they wanted to move up, right?
Teddy,
radio stations.
I did print out, and I just want to mention some of the hits that people may remember. I printed out the top 100 songs for the 60s. And do you remember Scott McKenzie in San Francisco? Yeah. And the Byrds and Mr. Tambourine Man. The Moody Blues with Go Now.
How about the Zombies?
The Zombies, they're probably on here. I haven't read it. But, and the interesting thing during the 60s when the British invasion happened, we also had a Motown thing happening in the United States.
Oh, yeah, Motown was huge.
And they just became like homogenized on radio, and you played both, the Supremes and the Four Tops and the Beatles and the Dave Clark Five and, all the bands. Yeah,
Motown was great.
Stylistics from Philadelphia.
Right. Yeah.
Group come over to New York, and they were singing on the radio. It was great. You could see it on my YouTube thing. If you go to Teddy Smith WPAT Radio on YouTube, there's Russell Tompkins Jr. in the studio from the Stylistics right there. So between that and all these great acts that come into the studio, it's great today that you can YouTube it and put it out there so people can finally see what it is.
It is great. And Teddy, I want to thank you for calling in. We're at just about the half hour. We got to take a break. And do you want to hang on a little more, or would you like to? You got other things you got to go to?
Oh, I'm happy hanging in there. I'm happy, as the Turtles would say. I'm a happy
together. All right. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with more discussion on the Open Mic Show on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open Mic!
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
It's 7:30.
97.9 FM, WHAV.
Paul Ryan, Haverhill High School class of 1971, and Tommy Morgan, Haverhill High School class of 2013, are good sports. They're on 97.9 WHAV FM every Wednesday night from 6 till 8. Ryan and Morgan talk about local high school sports, the Patriots, Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics, and more. You can join in with your calls. Good Sports is sponsored in part by Haverhill attorney Gerard Laflamme. Good Sports every Wednesday night at 6 on the WAVE 97.9 WHAV FM.
Wave weather.
Now your wave weather forecast for Haverhill in the Merrimack Valley. Temperatures dipped to 29 degrees tonight with winds right around 8 to 14 miles per hour. We'll see clear skies to start and then increase those clouds before shortly after decreasing them during Tuesday morning. Will become sunny for the afternoon with highs in the lower 40s. Winds right around 10 to 15 miles per hour from the northwest. Tuesday night, clear, low around 22. And Wednesday, high pressure in control, meaning full sunshine, high 46. I'm WHAV meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
Catch the wave, WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Back on the Open Mic Show, 7:32 on a Monday night. We're here every Monday night from 6 until 8. Bill Macek and Ralph Basiliere, and we have interesting guests, and right now we have one on the line. His name is Teddy Smith. He's from New York, and he's a radio guy, and he's been around all aspects of it, and he's still doing a radio show. And Teddy, how can people listen to you? If somebody around here, can they listen to you online? Oh, where did Teddy go? Oh, Teddy. Now our producer, he just woke up. No,
hi.
He's got your back on. All right. How can people, if they wanted to listen online to you do your radio show? Because your radio shows are always fun and interesting.
So what they would do is, they want to hear the music show. It's on Friday nights at 7 p.m. And it's Friday night, 7 p.m. They go to WPAT930am.com. WPAT930am.com. Okay. Right, and they could go.
And what time is your show?
At 7 p.m. on Friday nights.
7, okay.
We play some of your favorite classic hits of all time, or yesterday's time, or today's time. Today's great hits or yesterday's favorites, and also on Monday through Friday morning at 5 a.m. of all time. You can actually hear the show, too.
Really? Great. Hey, Teddy, you have any stories, inside stories from either radio or any of the musicians that you can tell us? Got any like, secret stuff?
Many. I got many stories.
All right, tell us some of your stories of what you've experienced.
One of the stories is when I was working over at WPLJ Radio in New York years ago, when they were attached to Music Radio WABC. There was a disc jockey in the studio by the name of George Michael. I don't know if you've heard that name, but he used to be on WFIL in Philadelphia, WIL in St. Louis. And I had a chance to watch him throw some carts around the studio sometime.
Yeah, go crazy.
They would fly across the room. So, in other words, if the engineer wasn't tight on the board and didn't hit the post at the intro of the song at the right time, the carts would start to go flying all over the room. So that's a very memorable experience, not one that normally
a little shocking.
Do, but that's one. Then, of course, there have been others. For example, like we had, let's say, groups come into the studio, and let's say, like, let's say Tom Austin. Some people would come in and they would either sing on the radio live, and they would talk about some of their history. So if it was about Bob Gaudio or Frankie Valli or somebody, they would talk about Jersey Boys and their experiences working on that particular show, or they would talk about some of their unique experiences doing some a cappella singing. We've had the Duprees come in there, John Salvato. He would bring singers into the studio, and they would do doo-wop on the radio. That's another YouTube video.
Yeah.
So it's just been.
So you've had a career and a half, is what I think, and you've really enjoyed it, and it's radio has been quite an experience for you down in New York City.
It's been quite an experience working for you, because you taught me a lot about what goes into the aspect of the music, and about how to deal with clients in the community, and
thank you.
how to get friendly and how to build relationships with those people and brand the station.
Right. Well, thank you for all we've done together. Chris, we're going to ask you to just play a couple more jingles before we wrap this segment up, because we want to hear a little bit more of the history of WHAV that we have captured here at the new WHAV. Go ahead.
Free and easy, we're moving along with the perfect combination. Swinging music and you and WHAV. Easy listening of you and WHAV. Easy listening and you and WHAV.
There you go. What do you think, Teddy?
I love those jingles. I love the presentation. That's my kind of radio, and that's the kind of radio that needs to be kept alive for the rest of the century and the rest of people's lives. Because people, need to know about this.
As you can hear, this station now, WHAV, has a great jingle package. So
I'll tell you this, when I hear the jingle, swinging music and news, I understand how important punctuation is. Could have a whole different meaning.
Bill, who would be equivalent of a disc jockey in the 60s in Boston? Would that be somebody like, you compare somebody like a Dale Dorman to like a
I remember Dale
Dorman was here. Bruce Bradley, Carl DeSuze, Dave Maynard, and then on the, where Dorman was, most of the names I just mentioned were on WBZ. Where Dorman was which was when WRKO was a hit radio station.
I remember Charles Laquadere from BCN.
Well, Charles was BCN, sure, yeah. And there were some great
Peter
people.
Choice.
That came out of Boston too. But we had
WRKO.
On RKO we had people like J.J. Jeffries. I'm trying to think. Dorman was there. A lot of different, real hot jocks came and left Boston, but they spent a year or two or more, and everything had a jingle. I mean, when I worked in radio, I had a jingle, a jingle shout. Do you have one of those? Do you still have one, Teddy? You got it.
Yeah, there's one still around. I still have a couple.
Yeah, that was real popular. The name shouts. Yeah, those were the good old days. Teddy, we're going to wrap it up. I appreciate speaking with you, and I'll talk to you again soon. But thanks for calling in to the Open Mic Show.
And thank you very much. But just one more thing I'd like to say. I enjoy listening to Ben Parker, too, over down the street over at BZ. He has a wonderful presence as an anchor over there.
He's got a great voice, and I've had the pleasure of also, Ben worked for me probably a total of somewhere between 7 and 8 years, so at 2 different locations. But he's got a great spot right now in Boston doing middays for WBZ, and he's a great announcer.
People that came out of your station.
Yeah, I also have run across a few gems in a good way. So, thanks, Teddy. Really appreciate the call. We'll talk to you real soon. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Have a good day.
Thanks. And that was Teddy Smith from New York, and talking about some of the good old days of the 60s when the Beatles hit, the British invasion hit, and so much more did. It was quite an era for music and radio. We'll be right back after a short break on the Open Mic Show on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open Mic!
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
WHAV is on Facebook. For quick access, visit WHAV.net and click on the Facebook icon.
Like to laugh? Then you'll like listening to Eve Arden as Our Miss Brooks on CBS Radio, with Cupid taking pot shots at her from one side and Mr. Conklin, the school principal, badgering her on the other. Our lovelorn school marm has a tough time tracking down her favorite male, Mr. Boynton. Every episode of Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, offers immediate insurance against the blues.
Old Time Radio is heard 7 nights a week over 97.9 WHAV FM. Hear Our Miss Brooks Thursday nights at 10 with an encore performance at 1 a.m.
WHAV Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back on the Open Mic Show, and you just heard during that break that we play some of the old. I forgot to mention we play like Our Miss Brooks and some of the great classic radio shows of all time. And so we definitely,
I know people who listen to them at night.
Yeah, have that era still. It's really something that it's pretty interesting to do. You don't have to do it every night, but once in a while, it's an interesting take.
I think they run at what
every night at 10. Yeah, and I think they replay at 1 in the morning.
10 and 1, right?
Yeah. You know what? To talk about 1 and those kind of things. Did you like springing forward? Do you like springing forward?
I'd rather fall back.
Yeah, I like to fall back better myself.
Yeah.
So, but I have some information that I received regarding this particular week. In general, losing an hour's sleep is a lot harder on everyone than gaining an hour, and it makes people more restless at night and can disrupt sleep patterns for a week. It can leave people groggy and more prone to accidents. And I had heard that. In fact, car crashes, the week after time change goes up 6%.
That's a big jump.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Big jump.
And you wouldn't think that I don't think it really affects me like that, but who knows?
Well, I'll tell you what.
I haven't crashed yet.
I missed a chiropractic appointment at 10 this morning because of daylight savings.
Because your body clock still hadn't been.
Yeah.
You can't just reset the body clock like that.
I'm I got a sensitive constitution, and
there's also something I want to tell you about, because there's also a spike in heart attacks in the first week after spring forward.
Well, I don't know whose idea this was, but so far it sounds pretty bad, except, little fun fact, today is, do you know what today is? National Nap Day.
National Nap Day.
Yep, just right on time.
All right, well, I haven't taken my nap yet, Ralph, so you just take it from here. I'm going to go take a nap.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Well, the reason it says that heart attacks happen is because when you're sleep deprived, and that messes with your immune system, and it makes you more vulnerable. In fact, in Saskatchewan, it says. What the heck does that? I get this.
Who wrote that?
I get this when I used to be, an owner of radio stations. I used to get this kind of information to read in your shows, and I still get it. So I look at it and I print them out a lot, and usually it's pretty interesting. Anyway, no, okay, I didn't finish reading the sentence. In fact, in Saskatchewan, they abolished daylight savings time because, it's not Saskatchewan, it's Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan.
They've abolished it because it was a health hazard.
Oh.
Was that where Borat was from?
I think so.
I think it was.
I got to tell you something. I'm not liking the idea, but fun fact, I twice sailed across the Atlantic Ocean from the European theater, and actually I take that back 3 times, and each time when you come back you hit like 10 time zones over the course of the trip, and you literally have, it was either 8 or 10 nearly in a row hours where you're falling back.
Wow.
Of course on the way over you spring ahead, but who cares, you're on your way.
Right. So that must be, you got to sleep for a couple of days, right? How does it
My
affect-
first time on the ship, I definitely had the sleeping disease.
Yeah.
I mean, that ship just rocks you to sleep. And we call it the sleeping disease. Whenever I didn't have to be awake, I was asleep. Yeah, I'll tell you, the Arctic Circle, being in the Arctic Circle with the sun up. I was there when the sun was up 23 hours
Oh, when it's up
a
all
day.
the time, yeah.
Well, it's up 23.
I got a little bit of that
Yeah.
in Alaska one time.
Wow.
When I was up
So
there.
you could be, I think it was 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning, you could watch the sun set and rise within the same hour.
Yeah, but 6 months later, it's 23 hours of darkness.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so who wants
Yeah,
that noise?
Who wants that?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, the Arctic Circle was quite a fascinating place.
Now, I think I saw online today that President Trump would like to have daylight savings time just happen and never change back.
I think that's a lot of people's opinion.
A lot of people want to do
Didn't
that.
Benjamin Frank, not that Trump and Benjamin Franklin are in the same intellectual category, but I think Benjamin Franklin was opposed to it, or he invented it.
Yeah,
He had something to do with it.
But now I think it meant more to the farmers. I think it was done for
Right,
farming.
right.
You know, that's why it all happened.
It was done initially to save candle wax, was it not?
That too, yeah.
Yeah, I believe
but,
that
you know, in
was
this
the
day and age, you know, we don't need to worry about those
There's a
things.
lot of things that happen that we never get out of, like the QWERTY, typing board instead of being ABC.
Yeah.
You know, it used to have to be that way because when you had the arms, and it's never changed back.
Yeah, I know.
Just something strange like that.
Yeah. Well,
Uh-oh.
Chris is writing on the whiteboard. Oh, he's flipping it over now. Oh, we have a call. We have a call.
Send it.
Let's take a call right now on the Open Mic Show. Hello, caller.
Ralph and William, how are you this evening?
Good, good. Hey.
Who came up with the idea, first of all, to start the daylight savings? It was his idea many, many years ago, and then it was instituted years later. Whose idea was it?
I thought it was Benjamin Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin is.
Yeah. All right, so there we go.
Yeah, I was right.
Yeah, we got
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Wow.
Ben Franklin was so far ahead of his time.
He was. I mean, I went to the Franklin Museum. He had hundreds of patents.
Yeah, I read his book by Isaacson.
He did so many things. I don't know
His
how he
biography.
accomplished everything he did. But
Do you know that his mapping of the Gulf Stream,
yeah,
to this day, is
the most accurate.
It's just incredible how accurate he was. Even if he was off a little, it was so accurate.
Wow.
That it's not much changed with modern models.
Well,
I think he was also the first postmaster general in the United
True story.
Yeah.
Well, he was smart because he was a printer, and like Artemullus taught us, if you control distribution, you control the whole kettle of fish. And so he got into controlling the distribution for his printing business. I read Isaacson's book about him. It's one of the
Interesting.
better history
Yeah.
books I've ever read.
Yeah.
Now, didn't he print Poor Richard's Almanac?
Yes, he
He
did.
sure did.
Yeah.
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 He was Poor Richard.
The sad part about the Revolutionary War, one of the many things, is his son, William, was the governor appointed by the King of England for the state of New Jersey.
That's true.
You know, what was New Jersey? And it caused a family rift, and they never got back together again because they were both on opposite sides of the war.
Wow.
That's absolutely, that is true.
Well, there's. I guess you should never become appointed king because you break up the family.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he was quite the statesman in France. He used his being from America very wisely with the French ladies, because he used to wear a raccoon hat, and they thought that he was a Westerner, from the United States, not a city boy from Philadelphia, but from the West, and they were intrigued by him, and thus he had his way with many a French lady in the day.
Well, he also has his signature on all the 3 founding documents of America, and that would be the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the peace treaty with England after the Revolutionary War. Now, you said there was something unfortunate about the Revolutionary War, and that was him and his son. The other thing is that we weren't able to sell 150 hills at the same price that we sold Bunker Hill to the British, that would have made me happy. I'd have sold them every hill on the East Coast for that price.
No, but he was quite the statesman, and you know he was a lot older than many of the patriots back then, and he was probably more of a fatherly figure to many of those.
Yeah, he was significantly older than John Adams.
Yeah,
all that crew.
John Adams, he was a Massachusetts boy.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Hey, we got to take a short break, but do you want to tell us what your favorite '60s song is?
Well, I was going to ask you the question, a trivia question.
Well, go ahead.
The B side of a Beatles song was called "We Can Work It Out," which a lot of people thought that was the hit side. But what was actually the hit side on the A side?
Oh, I don't know. Give me a hint.
Love Me Do.
Day Tripper.
Day Tripper.
Day Tripper.
They're both. There were so many double-sided hits.
I learned to sing that song about 2 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Day Tripper.
Yeah.
I'm not joking. I took voice lessons down at D'Angelo's.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, maybe
sang it with a band.
It was another night we can have you.
Oh, you're gonna have to. If you want me to sing, you're gonna have to start paying.
Can we just get a bunch of karaoke tapes and
karaoke is for CDs? Amateurs.
Oh,
yeah.
You need
I play with professional.
You need a real orchestra in the back of the studio.
Yeah.
All
or
right.
Sheryl Crow playing the guitar. You know.
All right, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back on the Open Mic Show, WHAV.
Open Mic!
Join Bill Macek live on the Open Mic Show again next Monday night at 6. The opinions expressed on the Open Mic Show are not necessarily those of 97.9 WHAV FM, its underwriters, or affiliated stations. The Open Mic Show came to you from the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom.
Okay, we are back on the Open Mic Show. A little technical snafu here, but that's okay. You know, that's radio. It's live radio.
Live radio.
That's the way it sometimes
happens.
happens.
Not as easy as it looks.
Right, that's all.
You have no idea how many things I have going on.
So we want to hope that Team Haverhill comes out with some great ideas tonight.
Yeah, so the monitor's on in the room, and I'm seeing, I look over my shoulder, I've seen some of my friends, Melinda Barrett and Tom Sullivan.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all there.
And Rich Rosa's there. We saw Rich Rosa.
Yep.
Yeah. Big crowd down in Northern Essex for the Team Haverhill Possible Dreams, when they do some really creative stuff to come up with new ideas.
It's really like systemic, supported brainstorming.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
With the logistics in place.
Yeah, and they're doing it again tonight. So, I mean, that's where so many things. River Ruckus came out of there.
I love the River Ruckus. I mentioned that.
The farmers market
20% increase.
The mural on Essex Street came out of there.
You mentioned something earlier, and while it's on my mind, I had mentioned how different people I've heard saying, some people like we should build everything, and some people like we should have a moratorium. I never knew. Of course, I've learned now that I'm someone who administers policy that. There's always a cause and effect. You have to think, we got this problem, what's the solution? You might actually make a worse solution.
Right.
I never knew. I learned tonight from you lawfully what a moratorium really meant, that you then have to start taking quantitative steps towards fixing the problem.
You have to immediately start, and you can be challenged on it if you aren't moving fast enough, because
you could really open a can of worms.
You could, yeah. So, I mean, I think that it's not something you want to do unless it's the only thing you can do, because you're really pushed against the wall in a sense.
Right.
I think we always work to find a better solution. You may have to.
I don't ever like boxing yourself in.
Right, exactly.
You never box yourself in if you don't have to. Try to be creative about things.
But that and when you think about what I said about a moratorium requires that the community then would immediately take steps to correct the deficiency or the shortfall, whatever it is. Let's say we said, we can't build any more houses. We don't have enough water for the city, because they're going to want to hook into the water. Then you have to work to create a bigger water supply.
Right?
I mean, it can be a host of different things.
Right.
So, Anyway, I think we're doing good. You feel spring's around the corner? I think this is going to be a good week.
Today was a long day.
Yeah, today.
Right, the sun was still shining when you came in, right?
Yeah, it's like 7 something now. The sun sets.
Yeah, beautiful. Nice long days.
Yeah, I like that. And it's getting a little warmer.
A lot of snow melt. Now, this morning, I guess, was, as I told you, I think because of daylight savings time, I slept through my alarm at 8 and woke up at 10 minutes to 10. And so I called my chiropractor. They pushed me off a half hour late. Well, I was driving to my chiropractor in Hampstead. I could not believe the copious amount of salt on the roads in Plastow and Haverhill and in Hampstead and Atkinson. And then at the walkway, and I said, did I miss something? They're like, yeah, you missed a major icing event.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It was going to do that.
Yeah, before the sun came up, there was a
overnight,
major icing event.
Right. But I think we're almost at the end of the line.
Thank God. I ought to be in Jackson just about the time for the spring melt.
I'm still rooting for the groundhog. You know?
Yeah.
I like this year we heard that it was going to be 6 weeks earlier.
Well, I'm all for it.
Yeah, me too. Hey, we got one last call we're going to take here on the Open Mic Show. Bill Macek and Ralph Basiliere. Hello, caller. Who are you?
My name is Joe Damiano, first-time caller.
Oh, thanks for calling in, Joe. Thanks for listening.
You never forget your first time, Joe.
I just happened to turn on a while ago, and because I'm always on the run, and sometimes I get to listen to the radio and other times I don't. But I heard you in the last hour at the tail end talking to a guy, something about birthdays. What is that all about?
Okay, I'll be glad to bring you up to date on that. If you know somebody or you yourself are having a birthday next month, which would be the month of April, all we need is the information on the person. Our producer usually writes it down. You can also call in, and if we have time like this, we can talk about who you're putting into the drawing. And so on the last Monday before your birthday month, during the Open Mic Show, we draw a name out of our cowboy hat, and that person wins a really nice birthday cake from Albie D's Second Generation Italian Bakery, which is right in Bradford Square, right on South Main Street, and they have free parking. You don't need to fight for a spot on the street or anything in that area, so it's a great place to go. It's a great Italian bakery, so that's what that's all about. Now, do you have a birthday, or you know somebody's having an April birthday?
I have 3 of them, but it's for this month.
Oh, you'll have to wait 11 months, because the March birthdays we already did.
Yep.
Okay.
We drew it out of the cowboy hat that was once worn by Rex Trailer. Did you know that? Rex Trailer.
I thought it was Ronald Reagan.
I thought it was Rex Tillerson.
Oh, Rex Tillerson.
I have 3 birthdays, all within 7 days.
Well, you know what? We can't give you a birthday cake, but why don't you at least tell us who they are and where they live? You want to do that? Mention a few names. Let's embarrass them.
Two of them live in Haverhill. One is my wife. One is my oldest daughter. And the youngest daughter lives in Lawrence right now.
Okay.
But it starts out with my youngest daughter on the 19th of March.
Yeah.
Her name is Wendy.
Okay.
My wife's birthday is, as I learned it in school, the first day of spring, the 21st of March.
Okay.
And the last one is my oldest daughter, which is the 25th of March.
Wow.
All within 7 days.
So the 3 ladies around you the most in your life were all born in March.
Imagine that, huh?
That's right.
Imagine that.
It's almost like you planned it.
I only had to worry about expenses in March and December.
You had to save up for March. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thanks for calling in. I hope you listen, and I hope you call in every once in a while to the Open Mic Show. And happy birthday to your 3 ladies.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a nice night.
Okay, you too. All right. Nice guy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got a big show coming up next week.
Another big show.
Yeah, another big show. We've got 2 great guests.
And who are they,
Should I pop it now?
Yeah, pop it.
All right. We're going to have Dugan Sherwood, who runs the Chamber of Commerce.
The Haverhill Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, the Haverhill Chamber of Commerce. He's coming in to talk about a whole bunch of great things that are bubbling, and hopefully most of them will happen here in Haverhill. And then the second hour, school committeeman and attorney Paul Magliochetti.
Oh, no kidding.
Is coming in. And not only is he on the school committee, he also has a very large law office, and he also What was the other thing he does? He doesn't do real estate. There was something else. I'm missing. Am I missing it? I don't know.
I don't know what it is.
He works
He's very
hard.
busy.
He works hard all the time.
Very busy
He
guy.
is very busy. So we'll find out next week.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll ask him
All right,
right here.
that's going to wrap it up for Bill Macek and Ralph Basiliere on the Open Mic Show on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open Mic!
Join Bill Macek live on the Open Mic Show again next Monday night at 6. The opinions expressed on the Open Mic Show are not necessarily those of 97.9 WHAV FM, its underwriters, or affiliated stations. The Open Mic Show came to you from the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom.